Okay, welcome everyone. Good morning. My name is Matt Coppinger. I'm a Director of Product Management at Omnissa, responsible for Workspace ONE UEM and specifically the Apple platform support. I'm going to be taking you through today what we consider to be modern Mac management with Omnissa. I've got a ton of content. I'm going to fly through this very, very quickly. There's a bunch of demos. I may have to skip a few things. This is going to be a flyby of everything that we do for Mac. One of the things I want you to take away from this session today is that modern Mac management is not just about device management, and we'll dive into why that's the case in everything that Omnissa delivers for Mac and Apple platforms. Before we start though, many of you might be wondering, who is Omnissa? It's not a familiar brand to many folks out there. But Omnissa essentially was born from the end user computing division from VMware. So we have 24 years of experience in the end user computing industry. So obviously, VMware has been operating the end-user computing division since 2004. In 2014, we acquired the market-leading mobile device management platform, AirWatch, rebranded that as VMware Workspace ONE UEM. And then obviously in 2023, VMware was acquired by Broadcom. As part of that acquisition, the end-user computing division of Broadcom was spun out completely independently as Omnissa, acquired by KKR. So we are completely independent operating organization and business, totally focused now on end-user computing. So a little bit about our business. We have 4,000 employees globally. We have 26,000 customers. We have seven of the top 10 Fortune 500 companies are using our products. When it comes to Workspace ONE UEM, we have at least one customer managing over 2 million devices on our platform. We have multiple customers managing hundreds of thousands of devices with Workspace ONE UEM. We're a $4 billion business with about 1.5 billion AAR. We're growing, we're profitable, and we have an experienced leadership team made up of executives from VMware and AirWatch. Our vision, our goal, our North Star is about realizing the autonomous workspace. So this is about delivering smarter IT and smarter digital workspaces for your users that are self-configuring, self-healing, and self-securing, and you're going to see some of that today. The Omnissa platform is really the first AI-driven digital work platform. It comprises of 4 key solution areas. So our virtual desktop and apps platform, which is brilliant at delivering Windows applications to Mac and Apple devices. We have of course, our unified endpoint management solution for managing Apple platforms and others. We have a security and compliance solution, as well as digital employee experience. Again, another key area when delivering Apple devices and digital workspaces for your customers. Those solutions really are made up of 2 key products, Omnissa Horizon for virtual desktops and apps, and Workspace ONE for unified endpoint management and more. Underpinning though the Omnissa platform are a number of key common platform services. So we have a common data platform, automated workflow platform, identity platform in Omnissa Access, administration through our Workspace ONE cloud platform, and then a common AI and ML platform. And all of this is really designed to deliver outcomes for you. Smarter IT, as I said, seamless experiences for your users, and proactive security. One thing that we believe Omnissa does is reduce cost and complexity when delivering the digital workspace. As I said at the start of this presentation, delivering a digital workspace is more than just device management. Some vendors offer some of these things that you see here. Some of them offer certain things for free, but ultimately, using these solutions, you're going to need to have a piecemeal solution that builds up the cost over time. So all of these things such as, obviously Apple management, Windows management, workflows and automation, remote support, digital employee experience support, all of that is going to build up from a cost if you build piecemeal solutions. But with Omnissa, we encompass all of this as part of one solution, one platform, and one cost. We also believe that our solution is probably the only vendor out there that has a cloud-native next-gen architecture. We've completely rebuilt Workspace ONE UEM to what we consider to be a modern SaaS architecture. So we've taken our old monolithic tech stack, which many other vendors implement today, and we've rebuilt that using microservices. This makes our Workspace ONE platform more scalable, more modular, more extensible. We can deliver features faster. And when it comes to scalability, in our tests, we've shown that we can update 100,000 devices with 10 new apps, 10 new configuration profiles within 5 hours. We don't believe there's another platform on the planet that can deliver that kind of scalability, performance, and reliability. So why choose Workspace ONE for Mac? Well, firstly, we're very much aligned with Apple. We believe in Apple at work. We believe that we have a platform that can deliver Mac as first choice in many organizations. And we're deeply invested in employee experience, and we'll talk about digital employee experience later. And that's very much aligned to what Apple wants, is to deliver a great employee experience. The other benefit of Omnissa, of course, as I said, is consolidating down into one solution. We do it all for all platforms, and we don't just do device management. We do orchestration and automation, we do analytics with intelligence, we do remote support, we do security, we deliver Windows applications to multiple different platforms, all in a single solution. We also believe that Workspace ONE UEM has some key enterprise features that maybe some of the other vendors out there don't have. I've already mentioned the scalability of our architecture and the performance. But Workspace ONE UEM is fully built to be multi-tenant. It has extensive role-based access controls, org-wide console settings, as well as a number of kind of enterprise features around remote support, self-service, workflows, notifications, compliance, conditional access. And our API-first approach to what we do helps us integrate with leading security vendors, identity vendors, ITSM vendors, and more. In fact, many of our largest customers actually don't use the UEM console. They drive everything they're doing through our APIs to manage their digital workspaces. Very, very powerful. Now, going through this transition from VMware to Omnissa and from monolithic tech stack to modern architecture, has enabled us to really accelerate the pace of development when it comes to Apple. So last year we shipped 24.02. We enabled declarative device management for iOS in 24.06. And then with 24.10, which was a beta last September and rolled out in February, we delivered declarative device management for Mac, support for Vision OS, and all these great features. So what you're seeing here is actually post the spin out of Omnissa, we quadrupled the number of resources working on Apple. This is accelerating the number of features that we can deliver for Apple platforms and also helping us deliver our modern SaaS architecture. So we expect the next release to be even bigger than 24.10 when it comes to Apple platforms. This is just what we're delivering on Apple alone. So let's talk about macOS capabilities. We believe that these are all the systems and processes that you need to deliver macOS in the enterprise. And of course, Omnissa delivers all of this. It's probably not a surprise to you that 60% of IT organizations use more than 9 tools. In fact, I looked at the Hoover app with everyone responding kind of what MDM they use. So hey, it's Jamf for Apple, it's Microsoft for Windows, it's SOTI for Android. It's you're using multiple tools, and you just don't need to do that. With modern times, you want to consolidate your tooling. That reduces complexity and lowers cost. And we believe that we have all of these solutions here so you can deliver Mac in the enterprise. But it starts with a great employee-first experience. We want that experience to be seamless. When you hand over an Apple device to one of your employees, they want to be able to open the device, power it on, it automatically self-configure, and be ready to be productive with that device within minutes. And we can deliver this with the Workspace ONE UEM platform. Once it's self-configured, the other key component to Workspace ONE UEM is our Intelligent Hub application. This is a cross-platform application that delivers a single point of access for your users to access not only their applications and a unified app catalog. It enables them to do single sign-on into their applications, simple self-service. They can do various self-service tasks. It plugs in with obviously being able to allow them to install applications if they need to. It's designed with privacy in mind. And more importantly, it has some additional functionality that we'll dive into that's super interesting. Now, I'm conscious of time. We'll run through this demo. I may have to skip through some of this, but this is just for those of you that have not experienced enrolling a Mac, which I think most of you probably have. This is the experience here with the kind of custom enrollment flow that we have. So here, we're requesting that the user authenticate. This is through Omnissa Access. So we understand who the user is, and we can apply profiles and configuration based on that. So running through the kind of typical MDM configuration on the device and applying settings, we automatically set the account name to help them create a Mac account, a local account. And obviously we can control the setup panes here, complete customization of what's available. Once the device is fully set up and enrolled, we actually launch Intelligent Hub and have a customized onboarding experience. So this is Hub. You can completely customize the branding here and the messaging. We show which applications are being installed so the user is aware that, hey, your device isn't quite ready to use right now. Here are the applications that we're installing. In a future release of UEM, we're going to offer the ability to lock the user into this experience and link it to what we call a workflow. So you can only allow them, they can only start using their Mac once certain profiles and applications and scripts have been run on the device. Then they'll get this Get Started button, which will allow them to progress and start using their device. And that means you can ensure that the device is secure and ready to use before they start using it. And once this flow is done, Intelligent Hub is launched and the user can access a customizable homepage, which usually lands on basically the application page. And so this is a unified app catalog. Here you can see Microsoft Visio. That is not a native Mac application, but because we have an integration with Omnissa Horizon, we can seamlessly deliver Windows applications to Mac. This is key in helping you move your Windows users over to Mac devices, and any legacy Windows apps they need to access, you can deliver remotely using Omnissa Horizon. So let's jump into a further demo of Intelligent Hub. This is going to run. So one of our SEs loves to customize Hub, and so you can do this too. They've customized it to a completely custom homepage with custom tabs. They've got some web links in there that they like to access. One of the key components of Intelligent Hub is users can favorite applications. So they can choose, a set of apps or even create their own web links into a favorites page. So all their favorite apps, I love using this if I want to hit the expense application. I know it's in my favorites, I can find it quite easily. We also we have some kind of set categories for applications. So native apps, websites, virtual Windows applications, and you can also have completely custom categories as well. So maybe your finance applications or training applications can be categorized in Hub. The other function we have, which I love, is people. When people ping me in Omnissa and I might not know who they are, I can quickly search them out on Intelligent Hub and see what position they have, who they report to, who they might manage, and get an understanding of where they sit in the organization. So Peter Parker has just searched Tony Stark. This isn't exactly shown here. It doesn't have the organization piece, but you can absolutely plug in your organization. The other great thing is For You. These are notifications from IT. So here, I don't know why it's represented so many times, but IT is saying, please click on this button to register your device with Entra ID, which enable us to do device compliance and conditional access with Entra. We have a support tab here where the user can see all of the devices they have enrolled in Workspace ONE. They can sync the device. We have this actions thing here where you can publish scripts, remediation scripts that you might need them to run in case of support. You can show the profiles that are available that they can either install or remove. Obviously, you can block removal of profiles. And so all of it is there for them to take a look at and see what the state of the device is and do some elements of self-service. So that's Hub. As I mentioned, we support delivering Windows applications to Apple platforms. So not just macOS, but iOS, iPad, and Vision OS. And we're a market leader when it comes to delivering Windows applications on different devices using virtual apps. And that's Omnissa Horizon. And I thought, what better than a demo is to show Horizon running, not on a Mac, but on a Vision Pro. So we introduced in 2010 support for Apple Vision Pro and Vision OS. And we support being able to enroll Vision OS through automated device enrollment and account-driven user enrollment. We support being able to push down a number of profiles from the console, but we also support custom settings. So any profile that Apple supports, you can create the XML for that, push that into custom settings, and send that down to the Vision Pro to manage it. In fact, a lot of our iOS productivity apps work on Vision Pro, which is great. So a secure email client, such as Boxer. We have a Workspace ONE Tunnel, which I'll talk a little bit later on. It's our VPN solution. But we really wanted to demo Omnissa Horizon. So this is me accessing a Windows desktop in Vision Pro for just the Windows applications that I might not have available. And this demo isn't great because it's showing Word and PowerPoint, which are available on Mac. But it gets interesting if I just forward this a little bit more. Some customers may have CAD CAM applications that might not be applicable Mac, but you want to deliver it to either a Vision Pro or a Mac device or an iPad, right? And you can run these graphically intensive applications on the back end using Horizon and stream them with great experience to the Vision Pro. I love my Vision Pro. This is me using my Mac and the Mac Virtual Display, which is awesome, that wide screen, and doing some development there on an app which I'm going to be talking about next week as a personal project, so keep tuned on that. So let's step back into, we talked about user experience and what we can deliver on the user side, and let's talk about really what we support from an Apple platform's perspective. So Workspace ONE absolutely embraces everything Apple is doing on the MDM and DDM frameworks. And we see it as 5 different areas here: onboarding, configuration, OS updates, software, and security. The color boxes there are what you get out of the box from Apple, from a MDM and DDM functionality. Everything else is what we add additionally to that for Apple devices. So you've already seen the branded onboarding, you've seen the onboarding status indication. I'll be talking about Platform SSO in a minute. We have, if you can't see that at the back, we have being able to push scripts and sensors, automated freestyle workflows, deployment tracking, OS, self-service apps and scripts, a whole bunch of great functionality that we add on top of that. One of our big focuses, though, for Apple has been making sure that we're day zero support, not only for their new hardware and new operating systems, but their new MDM and DDM features. So every release now that Apple has, we're really focusing on making sure we deliver the new keys and payloads for that operating system into the UEM console. And so one of the things that we're doing slightly differently for declarative device management configurations is, well, firstly, we're making a distinction within the UEM console between imperative, which is MDM profiles, and declarative, which is the new configurations. So on the left here, you can see when you go to choose a profile in UEM for Mac, you have a choice of whether you want to deploy an imperative profile or a declarative configuration. And actually, in the next month or two, we're going to be turning on a new feature within UEM, which is automatically generated declarative device management configurations from the Apple GitHub. So we have an integration with Apple GitHub, where once they publish new configurations, we ingest that information into UEM and automatically generate the UI and support for those configurations in the console. So here you can see an example of the device declarations that are available for macOS and the user declarations. So we'll be turning on this probably in the next month, and you'll see declarations start to appear within the console that we support. And we believe this is a great way for us to maintain day zero support for declarative as we move forward and as Apple build out that framework. I do want to talk about Platform SSO next. We fully support Platform SSO. I don't know why in the early days when Platform SSO came out, there was some rumor that Workspace ONE did not support Platform SSO. We absolutely do. We support that payload, and we support initially Okta. So Okta, one of the first IDPs that came out to support Platform SSO. You're going to use Workspace ONE UEM to configure the Platform SSO profile. You push that down to configure the Platform SSO extension, which is Okta Verify in this case. That will kick off device registration with Okta, and Okta will then use their desktop password sync functionality to sync the Okta credentials with a local Mac account. And so therefore you can then authenticate and log into your Mac using your Okta credentials. For those of you that are interested, there's a QR code there with an Omnissa article on how to set that up. We also support Entra ID, although as I understand it, Entra ID support for Platform SSO is still public preview. That may have changed. I know it's definitely going to be GAing soon. But similarly, that works today. Workspace ONE UEM, you can push down the Platform SSO configuration profile. You obviously need to push down Intune Company Portal app onto the Mac. That's the Platform SSO extension. Obviously, Platform SSO will configure, the profile will configure Platform SSO, and that will trigger registration. You'll be asked to register your device using Intune Company Portal app to Entra ID, does all the Platform SSO configuration, and you can then authenticate and log into your Mac using your Microsoft Entra ID account. There is a blog by Simon, that's actually here, one of his blogs on setting this up in Workspace ONE UEM. One thing I will say is that Microsoft changed how they handle device compliance with Platform SSO. So we fully support device compliance with Entra ID, but it's currently broken with Platform SSO. We're making some changes to Intelligent Hub to support that change. I think if you're in the Microsoft session yesterday, they talked about how they're changing where they store identity information on Mac, moving it to the secure enclave. So we need to make some changes to support that from a device compliance perspective. So being able to send device compliance information to Entra ID. But one of the things we're launching this week, which I don't think has been announced yet, and I might be pre-announcing it, is we're doing our own integration with Platform SSO. So this is where we believe that we're going to enable any IDP to be used, any credentials from any IDP to be used to authenticate and log into your Mac. The way this works is that we are essentially building a Platform SSO extension into the Intelligent Hub. So that will act as the Platform SSO extension. You will use Workspace ONE UEM to configure Platform SSO. That will trigger registration using Workspace ONE Intelligent Hub to register the device with Omnissa Access. And then we will synchronize the credentials within Omnissa Access, initially with Active Directory, and then when we GA this with all the other IDPs that we support. So essentially then your users, if you're a Google Workspace user or OneLogin or Ping Identity, if you have an IDP set up with those folks, you'll be able to use those accounts and credentials to log into your Mac. So this is going to go beta, I believe, this week, maybe next week, and then we'll GA this later on in the year. So that's kind of MDM protocol and Platform SSO. I do want to talk about scripts and sensors. We fully support being able to push down scripts and sensors. Scripts are essentially either a Python 3, Bash, ZSH script you can send down to the device to take action. We support being able to securely store environment variables for those scripts in UEM and be able to push those down and activate those. The other great thing about scripts is you can enable them to appear in Intelligent Hub. So you might have, maybe some common remediation steps or a script or an action that you want the user to maybe run in a support scenario. They can go into Hub and they can independently, manually trigger that script. And of course, you can have them run, automatically or in certain events. So that's scripts. Sensors are similar to scripts, but actually they return a value to UEM. And this is really powerful because I can put down a sensor down to a Mac device. I can work out a particular attribute of that device and send that sensor data back up to UEM. And then I can implement that sensor value in my automated workflow functionality. So that gives me the power to kind of create a lot of logic around the state of devices. And talking of automation, so we also have Freestyle Orchestrator. This is our low-code, no-code automation platform. We literally drag and drop logic and resources within UEM and external services to be able to push down a workflow and trigger certain actions and certain things on devices based on logic. So really efficient way of creating some quite complex workflows. You might use these to do complex sequencing of installing resources. You may want to just target a specific installation of a resource based around a condition on the device. We're going to be using workflows to customize, as I mentioned, that focused enrollment flow, right? There's a whole bunch of stuff that you can do with Omnissa Freestyle Orchestrator within UEM. And as I said, this orchestration platform stretches across all of our products. There's some really interesting and unique things you can do, which I'll be talking about a little bit later. So everything that I've just talked about, we're going to demo right now. So this is setting up automated device enrollment in the Workspace ONE UEM console. I can appreciate for folks at the back, you might not be able to see this. So we have the ability to set a default ADE profile in UEM. In the next release of UEM, we'll be able to configure that on a per platform basis. So you may have a different setup for Vision OS, for macOS, for iOS, for tvOS. We have all of the customization here for automated device enrollment, so being able to skip setup panes, for example, being able to set minimum operating system versions, and the typical things that you would expect. So there's skipping the intelligence pane, for example, and setting minimum OS, I believe, for Mac, and obviously iOS. And we support a custom enrollment flow where you can ask for authentication. We support things like enrollment restrictions, so blocking the enrollment of devices in certain cases. This is going to show deploying a declarative configuration. Apologies for iOS, I didn't catch that, but this is essentially the same experience you'll get on macOS, being able to set a declarative configuration here, and then you get a drop down of declarations. So we support a subset of declarations today for iOS and for macOS. And like I said, with our integration with Apple GitHub, that's going to expand to all of the configurations that Apple offers. We're now going to quickly show how to set up, and maybe not how to set up, but where to set up Platform SSO, an imperative profile this time, where I'm going to look for and scroll through all these great profiles that we have, but the SSO extension profile here for UEM, and I can click on that. I can start to configure Platform SSO. So defining what my Platform SSO extension is, whether it's redirect, all of the specific configuration items there for Platform SSO are supported. Just conscious of time, so let's quickly click through here. Just the intelligence restrictions here. We are laser focused on getting these out to you as quickly as possible. like I said, through custom settings, any profile that Apple publishes, we support through custom settings, and we're trying to get it down to where, day zero support for those settings in the console. What we're going to see now is sensors and scripts. So here you can see, I don't know if you can see this, it's quite small on the screen. I have a whole bunch of sensors here. Wouldn't it be good to know if Platform SSO is enabled for Enter ID on your Mac? So here is a sensor that checks the current user and checks to see if Platform SSO is properly configured on that Mac, and it can send that result back to UEM. You can then plug that into your Freestyle workflow. You could then even notify the user, say, hey, you haven't enabled Platform SSO, please follow, the next time that Enter ID box pops up, right, make sure you're registering your device. Or even as we saw earlier, being able to send a link to them to in Notifications Intelligent Hub to action that. So this is, I think we're now looking at scripts. So again, I don't know if you can see this, but essentially being able to configure a script. I'll jump through this a little bit. I think the key thing here is, yes, we can push scripts, but also there are environment variables here that we can add in and store securely. So API keys, for example, that you may want to store, you don't want to expose within the script that's pushed down to the device. The other key thing is kind of deployment of these scripts and sensors. So all of the resources within UEM can be assigned to what we call smart groups. And these are smart groups based on a whole bunch of criteria, including tags. A lot of our customers use tags. So you might use a sensor, for example, to tag a device that puts it in a smart group, and then you can apply settings. So here, for example, I'm deploying a script to a smart group, and I'm deciding whether or not it's going to run periodically, run once, on login, on log out, et cetera, et cetera. So, a whole bunch of great options there around running scripts. Next thing we're going to show here is Freestyle Orchestrator. I knew that. So here is a quite simple example of how I can run a workflow on a device and check to see if the Mac is running Intel or Apple Silicon. And based on that, I can deploy a .NET SDK for this particular CPU architecture. So very simple kind of showcase there of Freestyle workflows running. But like I said, you can get pretty complicated on this. There's a whole bunch of things that we support, including things like sending emails, sending notifications. You could even have a workflow trigger a incident or an incident case in ServiceNow, for example. So lots of kind of options around Freestyle workflow and Freestyle Orchestrator. All right, let's move on. So that's kind of everything we're doing with Workspace ONE UEM. The other thing that I mentioned, the other pillar that we've seen is kind of digital employee experience. So we've got the users set up, we've got them kind of self-configured, they're proactively, using their applications, right? You've got, day two support to some extent, right, with remediation and Freestyle workflows happening. So if there is an issue potentially on the device, you know that it's happening and you can react to that. Digital employee experience is really about looking at other metrics that are running on Mac devices. So looking at the experience on the device. Are they getting any app crashes? Are they having issues on the device? Being able to measure all of that. Which applications are they using? How long are they using those applications for? So tracking all of that kind of user behavior data and issues on the device and bringing it back into our central data platform to analyze and then potentially do automatic remediations on. So what we'll see here is an example of Freestyle. You'll see essentially what's happening here is we have a Mac device. We obviously have deployed apps, sensors, scripts, OS updates to the device. So you can see it's being managed in UEM. And I'm going to skip forward a little bit here. You've seen a lot of this. But essentially what happens is from within Workspace ONE UEM, we can launch what we call Omnissa Intelligence. So intelligence is our data platform where you can have insights, do analysis, and trigger remediation. So from within the UEM console, I connect into Omniscient Intelligence, and I get this dashboard. So this dashboard can show me everything that's happening on macOS devices across my fleet. I can see trending issues. I can see trending app usage, whether it's app crashes, app events, as I said, app usage. So a whole bunch of different things that you can see from an analytics perspective. We can have dashboards and reports. I think one of the great things here is you can quantify an experience score. So you can bubble up an overall experience score for all of your Mac users to see what kind of experience they're getting on the device. So a key part of delivering an effective experience for users is being able to at least track the experience on the device. And once you're tracking that, we can then, I don't think you can see this, but we have a Freestyle tab here. We can take some of the data that we're collecting and trigger Freestyle workflow automation. So if you're seeing a lot of app crashes with a particular app, you can trigger removal of that app or maybe an update of that application for devices that are experiencing that issue. All right. So we've talked about getting the user set up. We've talked about some self-service capabilities. We've talked about how you can proactively monitor the experience on Mac and remediate issues. But there's always going to be times where you need to contact the user and jump on and remotely connect to their device and help them troubleshoot an issue. So for remote support, we have Workspace ONE Assist. This is a cross-platform remote support tool that comes as part of the Omnissa platform. We support all the platforms we see here. We have a great solution for both Mac and iOS. So you can remotely connect. You can access key information about the device. You can access files. You can even remotely, as I said, control the device or view the device. And this is built with user privacy in mind. So all of this enables user permission, for example. They will need to accept your remote connection and accept the terms of the control that you want to have. So just got a quick demo here. So from the UEM console, I can kick off a remote shared session. We have actually a pretty cool integration with ServiceNow, where within a ServiceNow ticket, you can also trigger a remote session using Workspace ONE Assist into a Mac. So here you can see that the administrator is giving a PIN to the user to trigger the session, and they're accepting the permissions to connect. And then what's going to happen here is the administrator is going to take the user through troubleshooting. I think they're having a battery performance issue here or whatever it is. But essentially, they can either remote control or they can show the user what they need to do. One of the cool things about this, I actually had this happen on a device. I got a Slack notification from IT. They noticed that my disk was getting full on one of my devices, and it had triggered a notification in Slack, and they said, "Hey, do you want to connect? I can connect to your device securely and help you troubleshoot this disk capacity issue." So some really powerful things you can do with Assist. So we've talked about three of those pillars I mentioned. We talked about unified endpoint management. We've talked about virtual desktops and apps, that user experience, and we've talked about digital employee experience management. So next I want to kind of focus on security. And so obviously we fully support all of the built-in Apple security functionality that Apple offers today. I say all of it. Apple talks about managed device attestation. We have that coming in the next version of UEM. So we are currently at UEM 24.10. I think the next release is soon, and we'll be shipping managed device attestation support for Apple devices with that. But outside of that, we fully support configuring file vault and all of the security things that are available through the MDM and Declarative frameworks. One of the other things that we support is the endpoint security framework. So we've built this into our Intelligent Hub application. And within 24.10, we shipped a profile within the UEM console where you can easily configure blocking applications and processes on your Mac using Intelligent Hub. And you can configure a user notification to alert the user that you have attempted to launch an application that we don't permit, and you can contact, in this case, Oasis, or Ozone is our IT organization. The other piece of security functionality we have is Workspace ONE Tunnel. So Workspace ONE Tunnel can act as a normal VPN, but more importantly, can act as a per-app VPN. When we talk about zero trust, actually when you fire up your VPN, do you want to give all your applications access to your corporate resources? Probably not. So with Workspace ONE Tunnel here, you can see that the user has tried to access an internal app. They can't access it. They've turned on Workspace ONE Tunnel, and now they can access the application. But if device compliance changes, Workspace ONE Tunnel can block that connection. So we're constantly evaluating the state of the device and blocking access over the network to corporate resources. This is quite a unique functionality with Workspace ONE Tunnel. So making sure that we're constantly evaluating the device compliance, and if the device is not compliant, they can be blocked from accessing Workspace ONE Tunnel. So they can interrupt an existing session and block that. So Workspace ONE Tunnel is a key part of our zero trust functionality that we offer. We support conditional access today, so through Workspace ONE UEM, we can pass device compliance information to Entra ID. We can also pass it to Google Beyond Corp Trust, and we can also pass device compliance to Omnissa Access. So that way we can ensure that the user is using a trusted device before they start accessing corporate resources. We also support, obviously, based on who the user is, we support conditional access. So by sending device compliance to Entra ID, if they're trying to access, for example, Microsoft applications, Entra ID can take a decision to block based on whether or not the device is compliant. But also through Omnissa Access, we can also enforce things like multi-factor authentication based on where the user is coming from, what network they're on, the state of their device, user behavior. So some really powerful things there around changing authentication options based on the state of the user's activity and their identity. And the next piece, as I mentioned, is Workspace ONE Tunnel. So being able to also make sure that if the device is trusted and the user is trusted, making sure that that application communication is secure when it's talking to corporate resources. And all of this is bundled up together. All of this functionality is bundled up, as I said, into Omnissa Intelligence. So we're taking endpoint analytics into intelligence, employee experience analytics into intelligence. We're taking third-party security information into intelligence, and all of this can be wrapped up and presented in dashboards, and we can take action based on that data. And talking of kind of third-party security integrations, here are some of our security partners that we have integrations with. So either they're sending us data through what we call Trust Network, so we're being able to pull data in from CrowdStrike into Omnissa Intelligence or from Carbon Black, or we're being able to share signals such as device compliance and other security signals with these security partners. And one good example of this is, for example, using the intelligence or security information from these partners in Workspace ONE or Omnissa Intelligence. So here, for example, we've got a piece of information that's a signal that's being shared to Omnissa Intelligence for a man-in-the-middle attack is being detected. And so this can automatically trigger a Freestyle workflow that then removes the VPN profile, sends an email to IT and to the user to say that this issue has been detected and that we're locking down the device. So this is proactive security in action, taking the data from intelligence and being able to proactively act on that using controls in Workspace ONE UEM. And just to give you a flavor of what I just described, Omnissa Intelligence really is something that we feel is extremely important. If you think about what's happening with AI right now, the key to AI is data. Who owns the data? Where is that data placed? With Omnissa, you have all of the data from your endpoints, from your user activity, from your identity provider, from your security provider, from app analytics. All of that is being fed into Omnissa Intelligence, which makes intelligence a great place for us to start to enable AI features, right? To allow you to have a proactive approach or maybe even an automated approach to remediating issues in your environment. So we feel like Omnissa Intelligence is a key part of our strategy moving forward. And talking about our strategy, what are our focus areas for Workspace ONE and Apple in the future? So some of the feedback we've had is customers want day zero support of everything that Apple is doing. And so we're taking action to implement automation. So where Apple exposes a public endpoint, whether that's the GDMF API or whether that's through their GitHub, for example, we want to leverage that information, automate importing that information into UEM and making those features, whether it's new hardware, new operating systems, new keys, new payloads, new declarations, available in UEM day zero. As soon as they GA that version of the operating system, updating UEM to support that. And that's going to, as I said, accelerate our adoption of declarative device management. So simply integrating with Apple GitHub is going to give us the ability to support all of the declarations that they offer. It won't be all of them initially. We still have some work around supporting certain assets, but once we have complete coverage of assets, we'll be able to offer the full functionality of declarative device management and also the status items that declarative brings. So it's not just about pushing out configurations to set the desired state on the device. It's also about receiving the updates from the device and representing those in the UEM console. We're committed to making Mac as choice in our customers. We want to make sure that Mac is a first-party citizen when it comes to enterprises, and that enterprises have that ability to deploy Mac as a device within their organization. And as I said, we are focused on a complete solution. We are not just a device management vendor. To deliver a digital workspace for Mac, nowadays you have to have a complete solution. You can go with a vendor that just does Apple, or you can go with a vendor that does certain things for free, but you're going to end up paying more for all the other additional things to have a complete solution. With Omnissa, we believe that we have a complete solution for Mac and for Apple devices to deliver that digital workspace. And then finally, we're going to be doing some things to enable the adoption of managed Apple accounts. So Apple introduced a feature where MDMs can host the well-known file for account-driven workflows. We're implementing that in the next version of UEM. We're actually integrating Omnissa Access with Apple Business Manager and Apple School Manager so that you can create managed Apple accounts from your federated IDP, and some other things that we're doing around managed Apple accounts. So there's focus areas for us. We welcome you to join the conversation. Omnissa has an awesome community site and community in general. So you can go there. We have over 2,000 members and growing. There's a lot of kind of technical discussions there. If you're not familiar with our tech zone, that's a digital kind of platform where you can get lots of content around how to configure things, operational tutorials, description of how our products work, and lots more. So I can't believe I got through all of that in 40 minutes. I thought there's probably an hour's worth of content there. So I think we have any questions from the audience? Yes?
What are the limitations to face with MCP from what you presented?
MCP or MPC?
MPC, yes.
Okay, yeah. So we are announcing something called Modern Private Cloud. So today we offer Workspace ONE UEM as a SaaS-based offering or an on-prem offering. So we have recently announced the end of life of on-prem offerings for Workspace ONE UEM, and it's being replaced by Modern Private Cloud. What Modern Private Cloud is, essentially it's our new modern SaaS architecture, but deployed where you need it. So within the country, within your data center, through a partner program. So essentially no limitations. You're getting full Workspace ONE UEM as we see today with all the scalability, performance, extensibility options available through Modern Stack. But good question. Any other questions? All right. So I do have something else that I wanted to quickly show. I think we might be up on time. We've got a minute. Let's see if I can share this real quick. I'm working on a community tool. This is a personal project called Wombat. It is based on the macOS Security Compliance Project. And so I built this tool personally. I'm probably going to launch it next week for the community. I wasn't going to talk about it here, but thought I would. So this is a little tool that's actually going to take all the information from the macOS Security Compliance tool and others. It has over 100 baselines here. And you can create security baselines for macOS and bring them into Workspace ONE UEM. So it supports all of the platforms that macOS Security Compliance Project supports, like macOS 15 or even Vision Pro. And you can select this and you can choose the baselines. You can create a blank baseline. You could create a benchmark or baseline based off NIST or STIG or CSI level 1. And in fact, I don't know if this is going to work, but I also took some inspiration from Bob Gendler and hooked this into secure controls framework. So actually, if you're interested in the UK, any UK-based benchmarks, we've got the UK Cyber Essentials here. So you can click on that, choose that as your baseline, and then you can see all of the rules here available. So you can create a baseline. It will basically create a profile and a set of scripts you upload into Workspace ONE UEM. So little bit of, a personal project which I'm hoping to launch next week for the community. Keep tuned on that. But other than that, thank you very much for attending the session today. Really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed it, and enjoy Macaduck.